But, there's always that suspicion when you see someone on television that they're not really that way, because there's been like Ellen, like the Ellen situation.
Yeah.
People found out that Ellen was mean, and all these people came out and said, Ellen's actually a and everybody, whoa, I can't believe it. And she lost everything. She fell apart, disappeared, because people found out that this character that she was portraying in a half an hour on a television show is not really who she was.
Yep.
But I hadn't already known that, because I had a buddy who worked for her. And he was like, she's a monster.
Joe Rogan just said a name daytime television spent years trying to bury: Ellen DeGeneres. And the moment he said it, old clips started resurfacing. Clips of one woman. A woman who, insiders say, tried to warn everyone long before the world was ready to listen. Wendy Williams, the host who built her entire career on saying what nobody else dared to say out loud. She questioned the untouchables. She named a protected. And according to longtime fans, there was a pattern, a disturbing one. Every time Wendy pointed at someone powerful, something came for her right after. A scandal, a setback, a silence. It looks like her voice didn't just fade away. Piece by piece, year by year, it was allegedly stripped from her, so slowly, almost nobody noticed it happening. But here's the part that refuses to stay buried. Years before Ellen's picture-perfect empire cracked in public, Wendy was already dropping hints about a version of the daytime queen the cameras were never allowed to catch. So tonight, one question won't go away. If Wendy really saw it coming, what else did she see that the rest of us still don't know?
Oh, well, you know where that is too, right? The similar image to that, right?
No.
I know Jamie does.
What is it?
It's on the set of a famous talk show that's now not on anymore.
Oh, Ellen? Was that Ellen?
Yeah.
Really?
Joe Rogan has a rule: never believe the version of a celebrity that Hollywood sells you. And in one conversation, he explained exactly why. He reached for a name that shifted the entire room: Ellen DeGeneres. To Rogan, she wasn't just another host. She was the blueprint, the perfect example of how a person can exist twice. One version under the studio lights, and someone else entirely, the second those cameras shut off. Now think about what that means. Because when the reports about Ellen's workplace culture finally exploded, millions of viewers felt betrayed. This was the woman who ended every single episode with the same message: be kind to one another. A brand 20 years in the making. Polished, protected, untouchable, or so it seemed. But insiders say when the news broke, Rogan didn't even blink. Not shocked, not surprised, nothing. Why? Because according to Joe, the stories had already found him years earlier. Quiet accounts, whispered warnings, from people who had worked inside Ellen's orbit long before any headline made it official. And in his view, what America was watching every afternoon was never the real thing. That was the performance. The real show was happening somewhere the public was never meant to look. And it looks like Wendy Williams had been pointing at that exact place all along.
A lot of people saying that someone who seems so nice is not nice at all.
She doesn't seem nice, but that people have a very poor judge of character. She doesn't seem nice. It seems forced. People that are like that all the time, she doesn't seem nice. It's very forced. And whatever, you're allowed to be a bitch, right? You're allowed to be a bitch. You're allowed to be nasty to people. You're accomplished. You're a comedian. You did the whole thing. What you're not allowed to do is have a Guantanamo Bay situation in the backstage of your show where everybody's walking around afraid for their life, and it's like Abu Ghraib where they're hooked up to wires and they
Dogs
have like
around them.
Yeah, she's got dogs and hoods. If an intern's late, they have a hood on. I don't support that. That's just me.
People found out that Ellen wasn't really who they thought she was. One sentence from Joe Rogan: that's all it took. Because for Joe, this was never about one host. It was about the machine standing behind her. He argued that what you watch at home is a product, manufactured, every laugh timed, every moment approved, every flaw sliced out before it ever touches your screen. But the employees standing 3 feet outside that frame, insiders say they were living a completely different show. And one by one, former staff members started finding their voices. The whispers stopped being whispers. They became a roar. Here's what most people never knew: the rumors weren't new. They had been crawling through Hollywood for years. Quiet warnings, stories traded behind closed doors, names never attached. Then 2020 arrived, and the silence shattered. Former employees stepped forward, describing what they claimed was a toxic workplace hiding behind daytime's friendliest smile. Within days, the allegations detonated across every headline in America. Fear, favoritism, mistreatment. Words that had no business anywhere near the Be Kind empire, suddenly stamped directly onto it. Ellen eventually responded herself, admitting changes had to be made. But it looks like it was already too late. Because viewers weren't just questioning one show anymore. They were re-examining 19 years of everything they'd been told to believe. And for the critics, this wasn't breaking news. It was confirmation. Which drags this story back to the one woman who called it first, Wendy Williams. Because long before any of this touched a front page, Wendy was one of the only voices in television willing to publicly question the daytime queen. When Ellen announced her show would end, Hollywood lined up to kiss the ring. Tributes everywhere, praise on every platform. Nobody dared touch the narrative. Wendy touched it. No celebration, no tribute. Instead, a line insiders say aged like a warning. 19 years on television doesn't change who you are. It exposes who you really are. And she didn't stop there. On record, Wendy admitted her own experience sitting on Ellen's couch had left her anything but happy. At the time, the industry laughed it off. Just Wendy being Wendy. Another hot take from the queen of hot topics. But after the allegations broke, viewers went digging through those old clips. And suddenly, nobody was laughing. Because according to Wendy, there was always more happening behind those studio doors than the public was ever allowed to see. And this is where the story turns darker. Because silence was never in Wendy's DNA. Speaking out was her trademark, her weapon, her entire identity. And according to many of her supporters, that weapon may have come with a price nobody noticed until it was far too late. Longtime fans insist Wendy never flinched, not even when the names got powerful. But those same fans now ask a question that's hard to shake. What happens to the person who spends decades saying what an entire industry agreed to keep quiet? While Hollywood mourned Ellen's empire like a fallen icon, Wendy stood alone. She publicly acknowledged the employees who came forward. And then she said the part almost nobody else would touch, that there may have been another side to Ellen the cameras never captured. A side critics claim the industry had every reason to keep buried.
And here's the thing. I'm glad that you thanked your Ellen fans, or whatever you call your nation. But 19 years on TV doesn't change your life. It exposes you for the person that you really are. Suzanne, you've been around the block.
Yeah, I have been around the block. No, but I've been in this business for a while.
A long time.
I've worked with some all different types of hosts.
Yes.
And there's a lot that goes on.
Behind the scenes.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that all the guests are happy. I was a guest. I wasn't happy. Just saying, Norman. Mm-hmm. And people called me out on it before I was able to say anything about it. Like, oh my gosh, that was... Joelle, you know what I'm saying. You've been around the block.
Wendy Williams built her entire empire on one dangerous habit, saying the things Hollywood silently agreed would never be said. While other celebrities smiled and stayed quiet, Wendy dragged rumors, scandals, and powerful names into the daylight, week after week, year after year, without permission. But then came the day Wendy walked onto Ellen's stage, and something shifted. On the surface, daytime television at its friendliest. A couch, a laugh track. Two queens sharing a moment. Underneath, viewers say the temperature dropped. Ellen appeared to joke about Wendy's commentary. But fans who went back to that clip insist it doesn't play like a joke at all. And for one split second, Wendy, the woman nothing ever rattled, looked genuinely caught off guard, as if the conversation had been steered somewhere she never agreed to go, on live television. Looking back, some critics believe that exact moment is why Wendy later insisted there was a side to Ellen the audience was never shown. But here's the thing about Wendy. Backing down was never her language. Over the years, she kept pushing, openly discussing the controversies around Sean Diddy Combs and the untouchable executives of the music world, names most hosts wouldn't even whisper. And according to many observers, that freedom carried a shadow. Every word placed her somewhere more uncomfortable, somewhere more exposed. Then came the moment supporters still can't stop talking about. Diddy appeared on Wendy's own show, her stage, her territory. And in the middle of the conversation, he mentioned her son. Viewers say her face changed instantly. The smile stayed exactly where it was, but insiders claim everything behind it disappeared. Fans read that moment as unmistakably tense, and it ignited a speculation that has never gone away, that Wendy understood, better than anyone in that building, exactly what challenging powerful people in this industry can cost, and it looks like she was about to find out.
All right, so here's Wendy Williams. This is back in 1998 in the call that got her fired from Hot 97, SOT 28.
I just want to know, I mean, do you really think that every player is gay or every other player is? Are you a little gay obsessed, do you think?
I'm not gay obsessed, and every other would be an exaggeration, but I would say 2 out of 10.
Okay.
In sports, and 5 out of 10 in music.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't think that's gay obsessed. I think that's after being in this business for over 20-something years and seeing things from the inside out and the outside in.
So next thing she knows, she's fired. And then, again, that was 98. And then she spoke to Howard Stern in 2006, and he brought it up. Watch this.
Did you get fired for making fun of Puffy?
Something like that.
Well, listen, you figure it out. You do the music of what was playing back in 1998 on the majority of every radio station 25 times an hour.
Okay, it's not a denial. And the last but not least, Diddy went on the Wendy Williams show in 2017. So now we're, many years after her firing, almost 20 years after her firing because of that comment. And he makes some comment about her son. Watch this.
As the mother of a now 16-year-old.
Who I met backstage, he
did?
He's a great young man.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. You represent a lot.
You can see how awkward she is as soon as she hears they met. And he's now got a visual on the son. And I would submit to you, Wendy Williams was concerned to hear that the two of them had an exchange backstage.
Well, I think that clip is really interesting because it takes a lot to trip Wendy Williams up. Mm-hmm. I mean, this is a woman who would get on TV 5 days a week, much as you do, and speak extemporaneously, And this is her world. She's been in it forever. And Sean Combs, you can tell my opinion, that she's taking that as a not so thinly veiled threat.
But Diddy wasn't the only giant standing in Wendy's path. Long before him, there was another queen of daytime, the biggest of them all, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah didn't just rule daytime television, she built its throne. And the industry expected every host who came after her to kneel. Wendy refused. Years ago, when the comparison started, she made her position clear. Respectful, but unmistakable. And insiders say that from the very first day, the relationship between these two women was complicated.
At my show, Oprah was a fabulous woman when she was on network TV, and Oprah did a lot of Oprah's show was just a different vibe than mine. I don't intend on turning my show into the Oprah show. I intend on doing my hot topics. I want to giggle and wiggle, and I still want to be a fabulous oasis for people to come once a day for an hour and have a good time, and then we all go home. Yeah. I don't have a lot of kumbaya moments. I enjoyed them on Oprah, but I'm not, I have to do a show that's an oasis for my own life. So no, I am not the void of Oprah.
I am not the void of Oprah. At the time, it sounded like pure confidence. And honestly, they were two different worlds. Oprah's carefully curated warmth against Wendy's raw, unscripted fire. But years later, the story flipped. Wendy's life began collapsing in public. The health battles, the guardianship, an entire empire slipping through her fingers. And then, something nobody expected. Word spread that Oprah had shed tears over Wendy's situation. When that news finally reached Wendy herself, her reaction stunned everyone watching.
Oprah sheds tears for Wendy Williams. They meant to say Gail. But I thought that this was a joke myself. I'm like, nobody needs to shed tears for me. I got this on lock. Okay.
It's like how when R. Kelly got interviewed. Everyone's gonna want to talk to Bill Cosby just to get his side of the story.
I believe Oprah's the only one who would stoop to that level.
Nobody needs to shed tears for me. Wendy wasn't buying the sympathy, not from that direction. And her supporters have never stopped asking, why? Here's what they point to. When Wendy's platform was being stripped away, when the questions around her guardianship grew louder by the month, the most powerful woman in daytime history said nothing. No statement, no defense. Not one word for the host fighting to keep her own voice. And some observers claim that silence was no accident. They argued the same daytime machine Oprah helped build, the same infrastructure she legitimized and profited from, is the one that quietly replaced Wendy with something safer, something more controllable. Because it looks like the industry never needed Oprah to speak against Wendy. It only needed her to look away. By now, you know exactly what Wendy Williams was. The most feared microphone in daytime television. The host no publicist could control. No subject could scare. No name could silence. Now look at where that same woman is today. In recent years, Wendy's life has collapsed into something her fans still struggle to process. Legal battles, health battles, an empire built on speaking her mind, all but erased from public view. Her movements, and her sublime levels were less endowed than the barriers of her life, disport character, and love for loving. And her voice, the one weapon Hollywood could never take from her, now filtered through lawyers, guardians, and court orders. As the questions around her guardianship grow louder by the month, her supporters keep circling back to one haunting thought. The woman who spent decades dragging Hollywood's secrets into the light may no longer be allowed to tell her own story.
Horrible person to me. You know what I'm saying? It's the way he moves with other people. You know what I'm saying? And what is going on with these other people at my apartment in Miami? What are you doing? Oh, you spent on what? And what is going on at Wells Fargo?
The terms of Wendy's guardianship seem to be extreme. I've spoke to her several months ago, and she just sounds like the same Wendy. Yes, is she quirky? Sure. Is she eccentric? Sure. She always has been.
And now a new revelation. Her team says a new medical evaluation ordered by Wendy's court-appointed legal team, finding she does not have frontotemporal dementia.
She does not have frontal lobe dementia. So that should be game, set, match.
But Wendy's warnings ran far deeper in celebrity gossip. Long before anyone else dared, she was raising alarms about something much darker. The way young artists were being handed over to the music. Again and again, she asked the question nobody wanted asked. Why were some parents willing to leave their own children in the hands of powerful industry figures, all for a shot at fame? And here's what makes those old clips so chilling today. Years before the allegations surrounding Sean Diddy Combs ever touched a headline, Wendy was already talking, openly, on air, about the rumors moving through the entertainment world, the whispers everyone inside had heard, and almost no one would repeat. Now, fans replay those segments with completely different eyes, and they keep asking the same thing. What if Wendy was never just gossiping? What if she was trying to warn us? And she didn't stop at the powerful men. She pointed somewhere even more uncomfortable, at the parents themselves. Because according to Wendy, in some cases, the danger didn't begin with the insiders. It began with the people who opened the door and pushed their own children through it.
You know, what's worse? Hip hop wearing skirts or hip hop being closeted and having a plethora of kids to prove manhood that, and denial of something that you shouldn't have to deny, which is your sexuality. So I hear what Jamar is saying, but we come from a very homosexual era of hip hop as well. There was a radio personality once upon a time. Her name was Wendy Williams, and she was practically burned at the stake for talking about such. And now it's all come full circle. There were many situations, none of which to talk about, but there were many situations back in the day in my career. And it's all coming full circle now. So,
do you think now with people like Frank Ocean coming out of the closet, even though he's not exactly a rapper, but he definitely overlaps into the rap community, do you think that we're gonna have a time where it's cool to be a gay rapper?
I don't know.
Then the Epstein files started surfacing, and everything changed. With every new document, every name, every connection dragged into the light, fans began re-examining Hollywood's most powerful figures with a suspicion that hadn't existed before. Suddenly, old friendships looked different, old photographs looked different, and old silences, they looked very, very different. Right in the middle of that storm, Ellen DeGeneres made a move nobody saw coming. She left America entirely, relocated to the UK. Officially, reports pointed to personal reasons, nothing more. But online, the timing set off alarm bells. Within hours, critics kept circling one question. Of all the moments to leave, why now? And it looks like Ellen wasn't the only untouchable name feeling the heat. Because at that exact same time, Sean Diddy Combs was drowning under a wave of lawsuits and allegations, a legal avalanche, placing him at the center of one of the biggest controversies entertainment has ever faced. Case after case, claim after claim, battles still unfolding in courtrooms across the country. And through it all, Wendy's supporters keep pointing back at those old Hot Topics clips with one unshakable thought. She told us years ago, and nobody listened.
Growing fallout over the latest release of the Epstein files, Hollywood mogul Casey Wasserman is selling his sports marketing and talent agency after his suggestive emails with Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell were revealed. Here's ABC's investigative reporter, Olivia Rubin.
Tonight, outrage over the Epstein files forcing a Hollywood heavyweight talent agent Casey Wasserman to sell his namesake firm following the release of his suggestive emails with longtime Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell. In a note to employees, Wasserman writing he had become a distraction for the agency, which represents thousands of celebrities, performers, and athletes. He revealed the sell-off is already underway, following the departure of Grammy Award-winning singer Chappell Roan and soccer legend Abby Wambach. Among those newly released messages, Wasserman, who flew on Epstein's plane in 2002 for a Clinton Foundation-led humanitarian delegation, writing to Maxwell in March 2003, "I think of you all the time, so what do I have to do to see you in a tight leather outfit?" Maxwell responding in April, offering to give him a massage that can, quote, drive a man.
Ask Wendy's supporters what all those years of truth-telling actually cost her. The answer is simple. Everything. The empire, the platform, the freedom. The woman who once ruled daytime from that purple chair now spends her days fighting battles most of her audience never imagined she'd face. And many of her fans believe none of it is coincidence. But here's where the story grows heavier. Because according to some observers, Wendy isn't the only one who paid a price for speaking. Over the years, a disturbing pattern has caught the public's eye. Several alleged whistleblowers, people connected to Hollywood's most explosive scandals, have met tragic or unexpected ends. Different names, different years, different circumstances, yet every one of them, viewers point out, shared one thing. They knew things powerful people preferred buried. Officially, each case has its own explanation, but for many watching from the outside, the questions those deaths left behind have never stopped lingering, and they're about to get much louder.
How dare him? How dare him? I control men.
Well, and you know your limits, you know.
Let me tell you something right now. I don't need Will for anything.
Two names, two women, years apart, and one thread connecting them both. Carolyn Andriano and Lisa Lee Patrick. Both were among the individuals tied to the broader Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell cases. Women who carried the weight of that world long after the headlines moved on. And both of them, separated by years, died the same way. Accidental overdoses. That was the official ruling in each case. But when the second death was reported, the public conversation reignited almost instantly. Because for many observers, these weren't just tragedies. They were reminders of something the industry rarely talks about: the crushing, lifelong toll carried by the survivors of these scandals. The trauma doesn't end when the trial does. For some, insiders say, it never ends at all. Their deaths shook everyone who had followed these cases. And perhaps nobody carries that pain more visibly than the family left behind. Here's what the mother of one of those victims had to say.
It makes me sick. Literally turns my stomach.
That's Dorothy Granert's Feeling, whose daughter, Carolyn, was recluded by Epstein when she was only 14 years old. According to her mother, the unimaginable acts that she lived in Epstein's mansion haunted her for years.
A wreck. Because she would disappear out of shame.
Authorities declared her daughter Carolyn dead due to an overdose in May of last year. She left behind 5 children and her mother. The only person somewhat responsible was Jeffrey Epstein, who committed suicide in jail.
I couldn't even sleep in my room because I've got all Carolyn's artifacts of memories we made. And I said to my son, I said, I can't sleep in my own room. All I see is Carol.
And that brings us to right now. Because this story isn't history. It's still happening. At this very moment, Wendy Williams is fighting to take back control of her own life, her own money, her own decisions. And the fight just took a turn nobody expected. Recent medical evaluations, ordered as part of her ongoing case, have reportedly raised serious new questions about the earlier assessments, the very assessments used to justify restrictions placed on her in the first place. Which leaves supporters asking one devastating question. If those early evaluations were wrong, then what exactly has Wendy been living under all these years? The debate around her guardianship is now louder than it has ever been, and her supporters keep returning to the question the courts have yet to answer convincingly. Are these restrictions truly necessary, or is something else keeping them in place? And Wendy herself has spoken, publicly, in her own words. She says she feels limited by the current arrangement. She claims she is being kept in a situation she does not want to remain in. The woman who spent 20 years asking the questions nobody else would is now asking the world to look at what's being done to her.
So our recent events have been unbelievable.
Yeah.
Talk about
We came back from dinner, and apparently police were called. But I was told that at some point, police were called because the coterie here was saying allegedly that I took my aunt from this facility and whisked her away without any sort of confirmation or approval, which according to everything that we have learned in terms of this whole situation, wondering exactly how that correlates with the statements that the guardian has made, that Wendy is able to come and go as she pleases.
Right.
And that there are no family visits that are blocked.
Clearly, they are lying to me when they say I can go out and do what I want to do. This is my niece, Alex. She just flew in from Miami, okay? I just came from the hospital. So we are going out to celebrate. You know what I'm saying? Celebrate what? I don't know. I'm from the hospital. You know what I'm saying? And of life.
Right.
And this is what has been done to us.
Okay.
We're good.
We're good.
We're back
going
in one piece.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
If Wendy's story hit you the way it hit millions of others, don't stay silent. Drop a comment. Was she pushed aside, or are we connecting dots that don't exist? Whose silence bothers you more, Ellen's or Oprah's? Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because insiders say this story isn't over.